wasn't as bad as it seemed. President Trump speaking to reporters after his high-stakes meeting with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi.
Believe it or not, I think it was a very friendly meeting. You know, you saw the beginnings of it, but it actually worked out to be, I think, pretty good. I've actually liked them for a long period of time, and I respect them both. And we made a lot of progress.
I'd love to see him chit-chat with people he doesn't like. Here now to react is James Freeman, Wall Street Journal assistant editorial page editor and Fox News contributor. So, James, what I loved about this was you see them face-to-face call each other out. Because normally they're at separate mics a million miles away.
Right.
This one said this, and he means this, whatever. So this way they were able to kind of argue with each other. But at the same time, if you really listen to what they were saying, I'm not sure they're that far apart. Chuck and Nancy do not actually want open borders. I mean, maybe other people in their party do. They're not that crazy. President Trump's not actually advocating for a wall from sea to shining sea. He said, have a wall in some places, a border system. I mean, are these people really as far apart as they seem? James Freeman.
Well, I think you're certainly right that the Democrats in the room did not want to say we don't want a wall, we want an open border, we shouldn't have barriers. You're right. I don't think that's a winning position. And I thought what was interesting, though, maybe a miscalculation on the part of Senator Schumer, is he seemed to be thrilled that he got Trump to accept responsibility if the government shuts down. And I think he's really overrating how much Americans would care if, for some brief period, some quote-unquote non-essential personnel didn't go into their offices in the Washington bureaucracy.
I know, especially because they're going to get the money later when they do actually. So they get a paid vacation. No, it's true. But you see them sort of go back and forth. And now, like, one of the big, I know you are, but what am I, fights that was in there, I'm paper, you're glue, you know, whatever, was about, do you actually have the votes on the floor of the House in order to pass something in there? And, you know, Nancy Pelosi kept saying no. The president said yes, but it doesn't matter because the Senate won't do it. So now we're hearing talk from Republicans in the House that in a show of solidarity for the president, they're going to bring it to the House floor. Do you think that's a real possibility, and what would happen?
Yeah, I think the president was making the right point there. It's funny because the Mr. Schumer and Ms. Pelosi were spending a good bit of their time saying that the president doesn't have the facts, and he's been called out by the Washington Post. I guess he's supposed to be embarrassed about that. But he was making the essential point, which is you need 60 votes in the Senate. Incoming Speaker Pelosi was talking about how you've got the White House, you've got the House, you've got the Senate, and he made the right point, which is, no, I don't have the Senate. I need 60 votes, which means I need Democrats to pass this thing, and that's what the issue comes down to. And I think eventually they will have to move north from that $1.6 billion they've offered him, because saying you're not going to have a border, as you suggested, is not a tenable position.
Do you think having them in the same room made any difference? And with the cameras there to kind of, I don't know, keep people honest, I guess, or I don't know what it does. Do you think that any progress was made or were any further?
It sounds from the president's comment like some progress was made. I think he's holding a lot of cards right now. The Defense Department is already funded, so the sort of right half of the political system is not going to be pressing him to do that, to cut a deal on that. Social security checks are still going to go out. You're talking about a portion of the government that most people aren't going to notice not operating for a bit. So I think he's got a lot of leverage right now.
James Freeman, thank you.